Morning. It's great to have you in the shop today. Zach's in the shop with us today. Fall has finally come to Southern California, and we're making an urban ash desk. Should be fun. Let's do it. See how easy that was? So a couple of months ago, Zach built a loft system into his bedroom, which is awesome, but he needs a desk now to go underneath that loft bed. So that's what this project is, build him a desk for his bedroom. And what we're going to build it out of is this Shamel Ash. Now, I've talked about this wood before. This is from Street Tree Revival, which is our local spinoff from West Coast Arborists. West Coast Arborists is the company that sells Shamel Ash to Taylor Guitars for their urban ash guitars that they build. And these boards in particular are from the pallet of sample boards that West Coast sent to Taylor to evaluate to decide what they wanted to buy for their guitars. Taylor looked at these boards, decided to go with ash, sent all the samples on the pallet back to West Coast, and we got to go through that pallet and pick boards that we wanted to use for this desk. And of course, we picked the ash because that's what Taylor picked, which means it's good, clearly. So yeah, we got two big boards. These are about 6/4 thick by about, I don't know, they're 8 or 10 feet long and 12, 14 inches wide. And we hope that there's enough here to build to the plan that we have. Now, we drew up our plan in Inkscape, modeled it out in Blender so we can get a sense of what it's going to look like. If we're lucky, you're seeing some of those images on the video right now. So we're ready to build. We've got our rough cut list. So our first step is going to be to take our cut list, mill these boards down into the planks that we'll glue together into the panels that will become the desktop and the little entertainment console top. And then we'll start assembly from there. So right now, we got to start cutting up these boards. That looks like you're shoveling the boards, but okay.
It's a plan.
Okay, so it's the next day. Yesterday, we got all our cuts done for the desktop, and the desktop consists of 3-inch boards on the main part of the desk and then 2-inch boards on the return, and we're going to join these in this sort of zigzag pattern across the joint here so that we have a continuous desktop surface even though we have different widths of boards, and that works out cool. So one of the ways we're going to try to make sure that this joint comes together clean is we're going to take all of these boards and run them through the, what do you call that thing? Drum sander. We're going to run them through the drum sander, get all of the edges, the jointing edges flat and square so that we get good tight joints all the way across. And, do the thing.
There you go.
So we'll get to that. But before we get to that, we're going to cut the rest of our 2-inch board. So we've got the waterfall portion at the end of the return, and then we've got the surface for the little entertainment center portion. And those are all 2-inch boards, just like the return on the desk. So we're going to try to get the rest of those cut today. And then if we get that far along, then we'll start cleaning up the edges to join these boards on the desktop. We got all the rest of our 2-inch boards cut. These are, which ones are these? These are the waterfall boards.
Yep.
And these are the entertainment center boards. Now what we're going to do is take all of these, we're going to turn them on edge, stack them all next to each other like this, and we're going to run them through the drum sander to get them all the same width and to get all the edges square. And then we'll wait to surface sand them until after they've been glued up, because we'll have to surface sand them then anyway to get it all evened out. And yeah, that's just our next step. So let's just keep doing stuff. All right, we're back in the shop, back at the desk, and what we've done this morning, Zach has laid out the surface of the desk and gotten all of the boards, selected the best side to face up and arranged them in the direction he wants them to go. So this is our final layout. We're going to mark this so that we can repeat this when we come back to it. But the other thing we realized this morning is we don't have any clamps long enough to clamp this up the way we need to clamp it up in order to get good flush joints when we glue it. So we're going to mark this, then we're going to set it aside. We're going to get some clamps later on today, but we're going to go ahead and do the glue ups on the speaker shelf and the waterfall portion of the desk, because those are simple, straightforward, rectangular glue ups, and we got big enough clamps to do that. So that's what we're going to do this morning, and then we'll get out somewhere and buy some iron pipe to make pipe clamps that will fit this desk, so we can do some more later on. All right, let's get busy. Get to work. Get to work! Okay, so what have we gotten done? We've got the waterfall portion and the speaker shelf portion are glued up out of the clamps, rough sanded, and really ready to cut to final dimensions after we have the desktop glued up, which is our next step. And we got to take this in small increments because we don't have very many of these super long clamps. So what we're going to do is go 2 boards at a time in each direction. We're going to glue the 2 boards normally like you would for gluing up a tabletop surface, but then we're going to put the long clamps on this way and this way to pull this diagonal joint together, because this is the joint that's going to be hard. So we're going to do the long clamps to pull this joint together. When these first two are glued up, we'll do another two and pull that one together. So by the end, we should get a good joint down the middle, plus all our surface joints. Okay, so the glue up is done. The whole top is together. How many boards do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going this way.
17.
9 going that way. And yeah, it went well. It was a good glue up. We have some issues that we still have to fix. A couple of places where the joint didn't come quite together, and we've got some filling in to do. We'll get some close-ups of that. But yeah, overall, you happy with it? All right.
Looks good.
It's a desktop. So our next step is we got glue squeeze out that we're going to scrape off with the scraper, and then we've got to level this all off. We're going to do that with handheld belt sander. That's the most aggressive handheld sander I have. We would have loved to have done it with the drum sander. It's just way too big to try to put through the drum sander. So scraping and then a lot of sanding to get this all leveled out. And then once it's leveled out, we'll start putting things together. So yeah, I think that's all we got going on. Yeah. So while Zach gets on with the unpleasant job of hours of sanding, this is where I step outside the shed and spend some time working on the legs. And the legs are just dug for 4x4s and 2x4s. They're straight from the big box store, a little bit rough, but like we said, that'll contrast with the sleek lines of the desk. They'll be painted white, which will give it kind of a farmhouse vibe, but that also will match the construction of the loft system that's in the room. That'll sort of tie all that together. In the interest of a reasonable length video, we're going to wrap up part 1 here. We'll pick up right where we left off with our part 2 video. Until then, thanks for watching. Zach and I are going to go take our own advice and get out there and do that other thing we love. And we'll see you next time.
Dude, surf something.